All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest challenges in the entire digital world, this growing and, frankly, pretty scary gap between how complex our cloud environments are getting and how well we can actually secure them. Look, the cloud has been an absolute game changer. It lets businesses move faster and innovate in ways we couldn't have imagined. But, and this is a big but, that incredible speed has created this sprawling, massive attack surface. And the hard truth is, our old ways of thinking about security just aren't keeping up.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Everything we're talking about today is pulled directly from the brand new 2026 Cloud Security Report. It's a huge global study put together by Fortinet and cybersecurity insiders, and they surveyed over 1,100 senior cybersecurity leaders to get these insights.
Now, this report uncovered a really fascinating paradox, and it gets right to the heart of the whole problem. Companies are spending more money than ever on cloud security, so why is their confidence in their ability to stop threats actually going down? It doesn't seem to make sense, right? Well, let's unpack that.
First off, let's just get a sense of the scale we're dealing with. A whopping 88% of organizations are now operating in complex cloud environments. This isn't some niche strategy for startups anymore. This is the new standard for pretty much everyone.
So when we say complex, what do we really mean? Well, it usually boils down to two key models. You've got your hybrid cloud. That's where you're mixing your own private servers with services from a public cloud. And then you have multi-cloud, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're using more than one public cloud provider, like maybe some AWS, a little Azure, and some Google Cloud.
And check this out. What's so wild is how completely normal this has become. 81%, 4 out of 5 organizations, are using 2 or more cloud providers. So let's be clear. This isn't a temporary thing. This complex reality is here to stay, and it's what security teams have to deal with day in and day out.
So, with all this complexity, what's the number one thing giving security pros a headache? The report couldn't be clearer. At 69%, the biggest challenge is tool sprawl and visibility gaps. Basically, teams are drowning in a sea of different security tools that don't talk to each other, and it's making it impossible to see the whole picture.
And that leads us to this massive technical problem called siloed telemetry. Think of it like this. Each of your security tools is collecting clues, but they're all speaking a different language. This forces your human analyst to try and manually piece everything together, trying to figure out if an alert is a real threat or just another false alarm. It's slow and it's exhausting.
And what's the result of all this fragmentation? Well, here it is. A staggering 66%, 2/3 of organizations are not confident they can respond to cloud threats in real time. They know they have blind spots, and that is a terrifying place for any security team to be.
This takes us right back to that paradox from the beginning. The report calls it the budget maturity gap, and this slide shows it perfectly. On one hand, 62% of companies are throwing more money at the problem. But on the other hand, 59% are still stuck in the very earliest, most basic stages of cloud security maturity. So the takeaway is huge. Just buying more tools isn't fixing the root cause.
And as if that wasn't tough enough, you've got the people problem. A massive 74% of organizations say they can't find enough skilled cybersecurity professionals. There just aren't enough experts out there to manage all this complexity.
This talent shortage forces already burned out teams into what we call alert-driven workflows. They're basically playing whack-a-mole, constantly reacting to a never-ending flood of alerts from all those disconnected tools. It's slow, it's inefficient, and it's exactly how the real dangerous threats slip through the cracks.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about where the risk is actually coming from. Because it's not random, it is highly concentrated. Attackers are hitting the same weak points over and over again. Identity and access security at 77%, simple misconfigurations at 70%, and of course, data exposure at 66%.
Now, this is so important to understand. Attackers don't see these as separate problems. They link them together to create what's called an exposure chain. It's like a domino effect. It might start with one tiny, overlooked misconfiguration. That gives them a foothold to compromise an identity that has too many permissions. And boom, that gives them a direct path to your most valuable data.
Now, you might be thinking, well, can't automation just fix this? And the answer is, sort of, but not the way it's being used right now. For 37% of organizations, automation just means creating more alerts for humans to look at. With only a tiny 11% using fully autonomous systems, most of our defenses are still stuck moving at human speed. So you've got this perfect storm of rising complexity, tool sprawl, a talent shortage, and confidence that's just tanking. What's the way out? The report asks leaders a really powerful question. If you could just scrap everything and start fresh today, what would you do differently?
And the answer they got was, well, it was overwhelming. It really boils down to this one powerful number.
64%. Almost 2/3 of organizations said they would ditch this fragmented, best-of-breed approach of buying a dozen different tools for a dozen different problems. Instead, they would choose a single, unified platform from one vendor that connects all the dots. I mean, that is a huge shift in the industry's thinking.
And of course, there's a name for this approach. It's called a Cloud-Native Application Protection Platform, or CNAPP for short. A CNAPP isn't just another tool. It's an integrated platform that brings all those critical security pieces like posture, workloads, identity, and data all together into one single solution that actually makes sense.
So the report distills all this down into 5 core principles for building a modern security program. First, treat visibility as your absolute foundation. Second, actively work to reduce all that tool fragmentation. Third, you've got to connect the dots between those key risk domains. Fourth, automate for outcomes, not just for more alerts. And finally, make sure your cloud security is integrated with everything else you do.
And that really leaves all of us with one final, critical question to ask ourselves. In a world where the attackers are automated and moving at machine speed, is your security architecture still stuck moving at human speed?
And that's our look at the 2026 Cloud Security Report. Hey, if you found this explainer helpful, doing the whole like and subscribe thing really does help us create more content just like this. Your support is a huge help. Thanks for watching.